Hello YouTube. Thought I'd like to share with you some of my favorite photographs. Some of them going back, well, one of them at least going back more than 50 years. Most of them in the neighborhood of 30 or so, but there are some more recent than that. I've always enjoyed photography, but really couldn't afford it most of the time. So there aren't too many pictures here, and it's not going to take too long. And I'll have some comments about each one as we go along. This is actually my first artsy picture ever taken by me with a Brownie box camera. It's of the mill race in Eugene, Oregon, many years ago. And this boat looked kind of interesting to me, so I took the picture. Now, this is taken at the Los Angeles County Fair. I thought these hands were especially interesting, throwing pots. I didn't take a picture of the face on purpose because the hands were the most interesting thing in this photograph. This fellow, on the other hand, has a very interesting face. He's a racetrack tout. This is at the grandstand, you can see in the background there, at the Los Angeles County Fair. He's selling horse racing tips before you go into the races. This picture was taken at the Los Angeles Zoo. Somewhere in the middle of the zoo, there's this part called the pavilion with these two peaked roofs. And I thought it would be interesting to look up inside the roof and see what it looked like from in there. This is at the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. I thought the juxtaposition of this tourist and the statue was kind of fun. It's almost as if the statue was saying, "Hey Mac, I dropped a button. Could you pick that up for me, please?" You're listening to a little bit of Basie in the background there. This is what you get when you take a color slide and put it in an enlarger in the darkroom, and you come out with a black and white picture that looks like it's in a negative. This is the actual Cutty Sark on the Thames in London, England. This picture was taken at the Los Angeles County Fair. It's another black and white rendering of a color slide, the same as the previous one. This is the fun zone. I really do enjoy taking some of these things at night, and especially like this. It looks almost solarized, although it really isn't. Now, this picture was taken at the Los Angeles Museum of Natural History. It looked almost as if this skeleton of a T-Rex was about to eat the lady that was standing there looking off in the distance. There's a caption under it, but it doesn't show on here. It's probably just as well. This is also at the Museum of Natural History, one of the dioramas. It's taken with a handheld camera, indoors, no flash, so it's a little bit on the fuzzy side. I can just imagine the elephant saying, "Dr. Livingston? Why, he went that-a-way." This is the porch area of a restaurant in San Juan Bautista. I like this little study. I call it Sol y Sombra. For those of you who don't speak Spanish, that means sunlight and shadow. This picture was taken when I was in high school on a day in the Navy for high school journalists. I was the editor of my high school paper. This is on a ship called the Thetis Bay. It's probably decommissioned now. It was what's called an amphibious assault carrier. This is taken from one of the glass outside elevators at the Bonaventure Hotel of another glass wall on that building, showing the reflection of the Los Angeles City Hall and some of the other downtown buildings. Thought it was kind of an interesting perspective. I've always been interested in why you can find shoes, sometimes one shoe, sometimes pairs, on the freeway. But here's a pair of shoes left by somebody in a parking lot. I just thought it made an interesting photograph. This picture was taken with black and white Kodachrome film pushed to 2400 ASA. That's why it's as grainy as it is. I thought it was kind of fun looking at these gulls all lined up as if in a parking lot, all facing the same way, each on its own post there. This was taken at the port of Los Angeles. This flute seller, actually he made these clay flutes, is at the Renaissance Pleasure Fair, the Los Angeles County version of it, probably 25 years ago. This fellow I thought had a really interesting face, and I hope you like the photo. This man was my accompanist and coach when I was taking voice in college. He had been, his name is Theodore Paxson. He had been the accompanist for the world-famous baritone Nelson Eddy for probably 20 years or so. He was a wonderful pianist. This lady was sitting outside of Olvera Street in Los Angeles waiting for a bus. The caption, "Waiting for Gordo," is obviously a bad pun on waiting for Godot. In this case, she's waiting for a short, fat man. Probably me. This fellow looks as if he's dozed off, but actually he's working very diligently on a racing form at Hollywood Park in the summer of about 1970, 71, one of those years. I spent an entire summer at Holly Park trying to get rich. Stupid me. And this is the last picture. This is of my little brother Jim when I was just in high school taking a photography class, and I set this picture up. I'm really rather proud of it. Pretty proud of my little brother, too. He's a musician now, doing very well. Well, there you have it. That's all the pictures that I can show you. Some of the pictures that I've had that I liked best, unfortunately, show faces, but they also show people in places and conditions that might hold them up to ridicule, and I don't want to do that publicly, particularly not without a release. It's a little dangerous to do that, especially in a place like YouTube. So I'm going to be a little more careful here and just go with the pictures that I've got. The ones whose faces I do show are so far back, and they're not really ridiculous or anything, and they were all taken in public, so I don't expect any problems with those. Hope you enjoy them. I enjoyed taking them. I've always liked taking pictures.